Reading book on pausing, written by me, Eric Wadell. First draft, August 2025. Chapter 10. Worn out situation. Personal story. Years ago, my father, my older brother, and I hiked up to the top of the tallest mountain in Sweden, Kebnekaise. The peak was at about 2,100 meters above sea level. But we were unsure as to how long the hiking path up to there would be. Mid-morning, we set out, walking in good spirits. I felt strong, so I led the way, walking in a disciplined tempo. We climbed the first ridge and down into a valley. We climbed a second ridge and yet another valley. On we hiked, with ridges and valleys alternating, seemingly without end. The hours passed and on we hiked. When the day was turning into evening, we realized that we had miscalculated the scale of our undertaking, and we began feeling a mild sense of panic. But nevertheless, on we hiked. Late at night, we finally reached the summit. And there were only the three of us up on the mountain by then. All other parties of hikers had already walked down again. All the way up, I had been the one leading the way, but without none of us declaring anything out loud, we just knew that we should switch places on the way down. So instead, down the mountain, my brother walked first. By then, we were all both physically and mentally spent, and our legs moved seemingly on their own. In the middle of the night, we arrived back at the base camp at the foot of Kebnekaise. And we quickly made our lodge-type beds with cheap, stiff, one-time sheets. I fell asleep in a few short seconds. The situation. Worn out is when we feel too tired, cut off, or lonely. This is our fifth and final specific situation of pausing. And it is fitting because when we feel worn out, it can have a dreadful tone of finality to it. What is so troubling with this situation is that when we are too tired from the life that we are living, as a consequence of it, we grow uninterested in it. Then, even if something promising would present itself to us, we can no longer recognize it. As a constant fact, life is heavy. It just is. And it seems to be heavy because we work hard. Even when we think that we don't, we really do. We are careful about a million little things that we take for granted of ourselves. And that is making us tired. Then what is pausing like in our worn out situation? Pausing when worn out is about us responding to the unfair premises of life. Life can seem to have some sick sense of humor to it, and it is our job to outsmart it. There are some premises to your life that are just in poor taste from what life has given you. And there are other premises to my life that are in equally poor taste. And by default, both you and I naturally feel worn out by those premises. However, our job is to do ourselves justice and to be more clever than life is. To come up with questions more interesting than the bleak, ready-made answers that we have been given. We pause and recognize the fatigue in both our bodies and thoughts. We pause and look at the premises to our life. We pause and play around with what-if questions. What if we are this tired because we are considerate of someone? What if we are this tired because we are protecting something? What if we are this tired because we believe in something changing down the road? What if we are working ourselves half to death because we are actually loyal to something grand. What would something like that be for you? Worn out goal, symmetry. Life is filled with unfairness. Wherever we look, there are asymmetries. Someone ruling over the other, someone having and another one not having. Someone breathing out in relief and another one struggling. It can seem to us that asymmetry between people is far more common than symmetry is. It can look like real symmetrical connection between people is rare. This is making us worn out. Whenever we try our best inside of an asymmetrical relationship, we are worn out by it. Contrary to initial thought, we are even worn out by it when we are the ones on top in the relationship. Yes, we are worn out by it even when we dominate. Because the opposite to being worn out is not to dominate. The opposite to being worn out is to do it with a sense of togetherness, with a spark in our eye. This is our worn out goal, symmetry. And when talking about symmetry here, we mean a deeper kind of symmetry. On the surface, much of the society we are building depends on asymmetrical relationships. There are bosses and employees. There are parents and children. And there is us and them. But when we pose our what if questions, when we pause, we add a deeper layer to our superficially asymmetrical relationships. We play around with the unfair premises to life. We add deeper symmetry between us. You might be my boss, but we can still have deeper symmetry between us. You might be my parent, but we can also have symmetry. You might be part of them, but still we can look each other in the eye. So, worn out goal symmetry is not about us trying to do away with the asymmetries in life. The premises will often be made no less unfair. But we do add our own interesting layer to it. We respond to life's bleak answers with questions that make our hearts race. The 3 specific skills for creating symmetry are traction, proximity, and talk and listen. Traction. When you and I meet, we will communicate on several simultaneous levels. Most apparent to us will be our conventional roles. You are someone with a title so and so, and with responsibilities this and that. And I am also someone with my title and responsibilities. On this conventional level, we will be bound by the asymmetries built into society. In some ways, you will be above me, and in others, I will be above you. If we get stuck here for too long and only focus on our asymmetries, we will in time become worn out. However, we can also look for something between us that we may call traction. Traction is when we add deeper levels of communication to our relationship. We do not do away with our conventional asymmetries, but we add interesting questions to each other. We meta-comment on the conventional roles that we are assigned to play. For example, right now you are reading or listening to this book that I have written, and society expects you to learn something. But for me, personally, it is also fine if you don't. This is our specific skill, traction. It is about us adding spark to our everyday relationships. It is about adding perspectives and seeing the humor in things. It is about playfulness, but also about serious recognition of the arbitrariness to our different roles. Sometimes society expects you to be in charge of me. And at other times, society expects me to be in charge of you. But we are always more than just that. Specific skill traction is about us never forgetting that we can be more than what is expected of us at any given moment, and that we have an opportunity for togetherness even when society does not help it. We pause and look for interesting common ground beyond our conventional roles. We pause and add more layers to our relationship. We can sense it, and it feels like symmetrical traction. Proximity. Sometimes we find ourselves simply having spent too much time together. We have been in too close proximity to one another for too long, and we are worn out. This is not the end of the world, and it does not mean anything about neither your character nor mine. We just need some time away from each other, is all. This is specific skill proximity. It is like a time out, so that we both can regain a sense of breathing space. It can be remarkably difficult to give ourselves alone time. We are prideful and quick to think of it as a failure, even though it is a success. So we pause and recognize that we are tired. We pause and recognize that there are things calling on us from inside. We pause and see the prospect of alone time. This is a practice, and we will be bad at it in the beginning, because spending time alone oftentimes is hard. Here, there really is no magic solution, just practice and us slowly getting used to it. Being together is not really about being together if we do not also spend some time alone. And the opposite is also true. Being alone is not really about being alone if we do not also spend time together. Solitude and unity. Fantastically difficult to combine, and important for us to be humble about. It would seem, however, that the more interested we are in each other, and also in ourselves, the easier it is for us to enjoy being both alone and together. For every pause that we make, the easier it gets to be alone. And for every pause that we make, the easier it also gets to be together. Pausing adds breathing space, whomever we might be with. Talk and listen. Often, when we feel worn out, we see no way out of it. And no matter how much we listen, we find nothing helpful. Listening is maybe one of the hardest things to practice. Listening can mean many different things, and often it feels like just an empty word. Could it be that listening makes little or no sense without its sibling term, talking? Could it be that listening only wears us out if we do not also talk? So listening then is not so much about what to listen for, as it is what kind of talking it makes sense together with. This is our specific skill, talk and listen. It is about when we listen and talk in such a way that they lean on each other. For example, right now you are listening to this book about pausing, but you are also reacting to it. You want to say something. You disagree with some things and agree with other things. How do you say what you want to say? No one is going to say it for you, and it will never be made real if you don't. Are you writing it down or telling it to someone? Are you trying out pausing in new ways? Or are you comparing it with another practice that you like? Point is, listening needs talking. And now you are reading or listening about the last skill covered in this book. You probably have things to express about it, positive as well as negative. Listening makes more sense with its sibling term, talking. And it is that back and forth between them that is interesting. It is that back and forth that becomes a skill for our worn out situation. Often we are worn out because we listen too much or talk too much. Instead, we do ourselves justice by listening and talking in such a way that we do not drop what we feel is important. Talk and listen is how we refocus as a pair or group. In the next chapter, we will put the different parts of pausing together.